super fun, and all about artisan cheese and more to melt your peaceful heart and toast your peaceful life. Coming to you from the Appalachian Mountains of southwestern Virginia, this is the Peaceful Heart FarmCast.
Hey, this is Scott Hall from Peaceful Heart Farm, and you are listening to the Peaceful Heart FarmCast.
Hello, everybody. Melanie Hall here. Hope you are doing well. The conversation today and every day revolves around the value of tradition, traditional living, traditional food prep and storage, traditional cooking, and of course, traditional artisan cheese, and now raw milk products as well. Topics discussed here are designed to create new perspectives and possibilities for how you might add the taste of tradition to your life. And people are looking for raw milk. But why is raw milk so hard to find? That's the topic of today's podcast. It's a complicated topic, and I'll break it down into 3 categories as well as make suggestions regarding what you can do about it. I am so very excited about today's topic. Raw milk is a passion of mine, as many of you know, and I hope all of you who are new listeners will enjoy this topic as well. I appreciate your stopping by, and I welcome your feedback. And a warm welcome back to the veteran homestead-loving regulars who stop by the FarmCast every week. I appreciate you all so much. This podcast is for you. Let me know what you'd like to hear, and I will make it happen. I have a couple of homestead life updates that I'm going to do, and then we're going to talk about why is raw milk so hard to find. And today's recipe is hot buttered rum mix. All right, so life on the homestead here. Oh my gosh, will the heat never end? I think I've said this before, but I really don't like the extremes of summer and winter. The cold of winter seems to hang on forever, and the heat seems to hang on forever in summer. I am so ready for fall. I'm ready for the leaves to turn. You know, fall in the Blue Ridge Mountains is glorious. I think it's the Weather Channel that usually has a map. It shows the progress of the turning of the leaves, starting in like New Hampshire, Vermont, maybe upstate New York, and progressing all the way down the Appalachian Mountain chain, all the way to Alabama. And it's big tourist time for us. There's lots of fall festivals and activities that are planned. We were able to attend a dairy livestock show in Stewart, Virginia. That's our county seat. And it's heralded as one of the best in the state. So that's pretty cool. I have only a couple of updates on the homestead. Today, Egwene, our 4.5-month-old Jersey calf, left our farm bound for a new home. I'm on pins and needles waiting to hear that she arrived safely. She's traveling all the way to New York. Her new owner seems very conscientious, and I believe she'll be in good hands. On the creamery, all 4 outside concrete block walls are done. And so next we got the inside concrete block walls that will define all of the rooms inside. Then we got to do the roof, plumbing, electrical, gas. There'll be inside walls, tile flooring, windows and doors. I mean, there's just so much to do. We take one step at a time, and gradually the destination comes closer. But let's get on to today's topic. Why is raw milk so hard to find? And the reasons are varied, but they seem to revolve around 3 things. Number 1, it's illegal in many places. And then number 2 is the risk for the farmer being on the radar of the USDA or the FDA. And the number 3 is legal ramifications if you are targeted by those government organizations. And then I'm going to go over what you can do to help. But first, let's do the reasons. It's illegal in many places, and I've spoken of this before. I'll do a recap of that information. But now, why it's illegal is another great question, and that's a subject for another podcast. There's a lot of information about what it went into why is it illegal in so many places. So I'll do like another podcast also on why is it's kind of like why is raw milk so hard to find and the legal reasons behind that. but let's talk about what's actually legal today. Today I want to talk about what is actually already legal, what's not legal. And the whys of that will come at a later time. And of course, I'll be discussing how that affects your access to this product, you, the consumer. And the laws affect your ability to make your own informed choices about what you will feed your family. So, like, my grandnephew has problems with psoriasis, and it's relieved by drinking raw milk. I've had people tell me their body aches were lessened by drinking raw milk. And some children that are unable to drink pasteurized milk are perfectly fine with raw milk. Or even people who are lactose intolerant are not lactose intolerant when they have raw milk. The enzyme lactase that helps you digest milk gets destroyed when milk is pasteurized. Now, I was contacted recently by someone interested in our herd share program, and I was literally shocked to hear her say that her doctor told her that her daughter, 3 years old, I think, could drink raw milk. Not regular milk, but she could drink raw milk. And most doctors toe the establishment line, and they don't want to make waves because, I mean, they know it's illegal. Most often they tell you that your child will die from drinking raw milk. That's the propaganda out there. And sure, and it's great for the doctors it's great that the doctor said it's okay. But where is this mom supposed to get that milk? Is everyone reduced to buying their own cow? That's simply not practical. In only 12 out of 51 states in Washington, D.C., can she just walk into a grocery store and buy raw milk for her child. And never mind that you can't get other raw milk products, yogurt, butter, cream. I don't know that anybody offers those at all. They're available via herd share, but even in states where it's legal to buy milk, I think you might be able to get maybe you can get those products in some states. I haven't really looked into that too much. But if you don't live in one of those 12 states, then your options are already limited. And the next easiest option is buying it directly from the farm. We don't have that here, but that's legal in 15 states. You can't sell it in the grocery store, but it can be purchased from your local farmer if you can find one. 15 states have that. These farmers, they don't do a lot of advertising, and there'll be more on that later about why that might be. And now, the next level of navigating through this intrusion into your right to choose the food you want for your family is the herd share agreement. And that's what we have here in Virginia and also in 10 other states. So you've heard about the herd share agreement where literally you buy into the herd. You own the cow, you can have whatever that cow produces. In 4 states, if milk is labeled as pet milk, you might be able to get your hands on it. And the final blow to those that live in the last 9 states is that they are barred from purchasing any raw milk at all. No pet exemptions, no herd shares. Those folks have to travel to another state if they want to get raw milk. 9 states like that. Those are the last numbers that I have. It may not be completely accurate. Political activity to change the laws is always going on, both for and against your right to choose the food for your family. And again, it goes beyond milk. So many of you also want yogurt, butter, cream cheese, and so on. Mozzarella, that's a fresh cheese. Those are fresh cheeses. Have to be made with pasteurized milk. There is no legal way to buy those products at all. Even a grade A dairy cannot sell raw milk butter in the United States of America. And the bottom line is that many of us want to make lifestyle choices that include traditional ways of eating. They include milk straight out of the cow and all the products that are made from that. And unfortunately, when it comes to getting your milk straight from the cow, the way Mother Nature made it, the government gets between you and your right to choose. So that brings me to item number 2 for the farmers. Why you don't really see them advertise it much. small farms like ours, it's best to remain low-key. Aggressive advertising campaigns can bring all kinds of unwanted attention from government officials. Yeah, I'm sure maybe you will also get the original intent, which was to serve more customers, but you also may have lots of government officials uh, looking at you and inspecting everything that you do. So instead, we rely on small personal interactions and word of mouth. We stay small. Nobody's ever going to get rich off of this. We do it because we love it and you love it. And so we are willing to go out a little bit on a limb. But many times people get into positions of power over others, and for whatever reason, they abuse it. And not all, of course, and not even a majority. But our contacts with other small farmers and farm organizations have kept us informed of the atmosphere that sometimes surrounds official inspection personnel. It's their job. It's their job to find you doing something wrong. Literally, that's what their job is. And even if you're following every regulation to the letter, they can find ways to make your life unbearable, besides just making you feel like, I'm going to find out you're doing something wrong. But anyway, so for small farmers like us, the risk of showing up negatively on the radar of USDA officials or the FDA can be catastrophic. Now, we're blessed to have a great relationship with our local VDAX, USDA Dairy Inspector. So VDAX, that's the Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. It's the local version of the USDA Dairy. And at least as far as I know, we have a great relationship with him. From the beginning, we've done everything he's asked without complaint. We've shown him respect, and he seems to have the same respect for us and what we are about in building this creamery. So for us, there's no need for additional interactions with USDA and or FDA officials. Those tend to be the worst when it comes to wielding power over others. They're kind of removed from the local community. At least from what I've read, that is the case. Relationships with more local people are always preferable. Now, if you happen to get on their radar for a legitimate problem, which you quickly corrected, it doesn't matter. You are forever in their sights. And it is statistically plausible that during the life of every business, mistakes that require a quick action, a procedural correction, they're going to occur. So to illustrate, I'll tell a story. No names here, but just the generalities. There's a small dairy operating 15 or 20 years and perfect cheese all the time, but then they had a problem with one of their cheeses. The problem was that one of their cheeses tested high for a particular bacterium. Being conscientious business owners, they had all of the procedures in place to track down where their cheese went and got it all recalled. They do a lot of wholesale business, so there was a lot of cheese out there. Even small batch cheese producers can end up, that can be hundreds of pounds of cheese that can be distributed all over the country if you get that big. We're not going to be that big. We're always going to stay pretty small, but yeah. So if you can be making small batch raw milk cheese, and some of these vats will make, ours will make almost 100 pounds of cheese at a time. But you got some of these people that are making 200, 300, 400 pounds a day, every day. That's a lot of cheese. But in the end, in this particular instance with this raw milk dairy, no one was made ill. All right, let's make that clear. No one was made ill. The recall was not initiated because of illness. Again, it was a cheese that failed a test that's conducted at regular intervals to ensure the safety of the cheese. And so the recall was a preventive measure. I can't stress this enough. Even if cheese fails a test, that does not mean that anyone will ever get sick from consuming it. This number or that number was high, and the statistical possibility that the, quote, bad bacteria would grow was a little bit higher. And so, contrast that with all the folks who are made ill, or worse, they die from consuming contaminated spinach or lettuce, cantaloupe, factory farmed beef. Those recalls generally happen after many have become ill or someone has died. That's not the case with cheese. Cheese is caught long before it becomes a problem for the most part. Regulations for testing are strict. And you know what? Perhaps that's why dairy products, raw and pasteurized, all the dairy products make up 4% of the reported foodborne illnesses. So you hear all kinds of scare stories about raw milk this and dairy that, and it's got to be pasteurized. But even the pasteurized and the unpasteurized, 4% of all foodborne illnesses comes from dairy. Anyway, the FDA got involved with this small cheese maker, raw milk cheese maker, because of the recall, right? I mean, I don't remember exactly how they got involved, but somehow they knew about it. They found out about it. And now that small dairy is on the FDA's radar, right? So there's regularly scheduled visits. Worse, there are surprise visits from the FDA. And the agents hover with their virtual clipboards in hand, watching every move. Their eyes are begging you to make a mistake. As you can imagine, many times there are no moves until they leave. Nothing of consequence, anyway. When someone is examining your every action with a fine-toothed comb, sure that you are violating some statute or other, it's best to give them as little ammo as possible. And once you're on the radar, it continues. Where once you never saw anyone from the FDA, because again, you're not on the radar. You only get on the radar if something happens. And then it's a continuing possibility that they will appear, make demands. They want excessive amounts of cheese tested. The agents truly spend an inordinate amount of time trying to find another problem. And I don't know, perhaps maybe that sounds okay to you, that there was a problem and you don't want another problem to happen, but we take great care with what we're doing. It is life and death for our business. We don't want to take chances on someone with power having a bad day and looking at us as an outlet for their frustration or anger. And our number one goal is to make sure that our cheese and other raw milk products are perfect in every way. All right? We want you to be healthy, and we never want to wind up in the sights of a federal agency. We do take care, but sometimes there are mistakes. Then you're on the radar. Then you've got this over your shoulder all the time. And it doesn't change the fact that we are going to make the safest cheese possible. It just doesn't help. Anyway, the financial and legal ramifications if you're targeted. This is the third risk. As a small farmer, I can tell you that our operation in the same situation that I just described may not have survived that kind of intrusion and scrutiny. Testing every single batch of cheese made and multiple wheels from that batch, where originally normally you're going to send just a small wheel from your batch of cheese, a small sample from not every single batch of cheese, but regularly you're sending in samples. Usually for us, no batch is ever going to produce more than 3 wheels. A lot of them are only 1 wheel. I mean, so if we had to send the samples in, we wouldn't have any cheese. I mean, you begin to see the problem. The cost would be really prohibitive. Testing that many cheeses would cost us 1/3 or more of our product intended for revenue. And just as an aside, due to information that we've received from other farmers, we send our required tests to VDAX, and you want to send to a third party as well. There are stories of small farmers having one bad test after another from their official USDA testing, while the same milk tests fine via third party. So that's another result of getting on their radar. Sometimes the tests just seem to continually come up negative after years and years of being positive. Anyway, these are just anecdotal. Additional tests cost money. Doing tests, that's the cost of doing business in the dairy industry, and getting the USDA tests as required plus your third-party tests, that's just the cost of doing business in my opinion. It's just a way that we have to protect ourselves. Now, I don't want to sound negative about this. Yes, today it is hard to find raw milk and raw milk products, and there are reasons that these laws were put into place. Some are legitimate reasons, though the knee-jerk response was harsh, and some are not legitimate. Some of the reasons are political and driven by the dairy lobby. As I said, I will cover that in another podcast. But just know there are good reasons and bad reasons that the laws currently exist. For now, this is what we have to work with, and we are happy in our current situation. The laws in the state of Virginia allow us to help you by offering part of our herd to customers. Access to raw milk and raw milk products is there for you. It is a bit inconvenient, but the health benefits of raw milk products are worth it. The demand for raw milk and raw milk products is growing by leaps and bounds. We are working to expand the availability of raw milk products, and you can help too. But the laws are always under attack and pressure to be made stricter. Though some lessen, North Carolina just expanded their availability by allowing herd shares, where before they were a pet milk state until February or March of this year, 2019. But other states are moving to restrict access and outlaw their herd shares. So you've got one state who makes it legal, you've got others who are trying to outlaw their herd shares that exist. So one organization that helps farmers and consumers with many problems, access to raw milk being only one of them, though it's a large part of their focus, is the Farm to Consumer organization. And you can support them financially by becoming a member, or you can just get on their mailing list and be informed about legislation that affects raw milk as well as other legal challenges that small farmers face. That's Farm to Consumer organization. So there is one raw milk product that is available in the state of Virginia. No yogurt, butter, or fresh cheese such as cream cheese. No, not those. Only raw milk cheese can be legally sold to the public in the state of Virginia. You can get through the herd share, you can get those products, but it can't be just sold to the general public except for raw milk cheese. And you have to have a special license for that, which we're working towards. The cheese must be aged greater than 60 days. And for us and most others, that's not a problem. If you're making aged cheeses, none of our cheeses are worth a darn before 90 days, which is well beyond their 30-day or 60-day minimum. Most of our cheeses are aged at least 6 months before they reach maturity. And then they just get better from there. So again, there are no other raw milk products that can be sold in the state of Virginia. It's the herd share program that gives you access to the products such as yogurt, butter, cream, fresh cheeses like mozzarella or cream cheese. Now, last year there was a bill on the floor in Virginia that would have allowed an exemption for private homes to make yogurt to sell at farmers markets. This would have been similar to the current law that exempts baked goods that don't require time or temperature control after preparation. You see all those great baked goods at the farmers markets. And there's a lot of do's and don'ts and a limit on the dollar amount of gross sales for all those baked goods. And so there were similar provisions in the bill to open the market to yogurt. But anyway, not enough people showed up in support of the bill and it failed to pass. So Farm to Consumer, the Farm to Consumer organization, and another organization in Virginia is called VICFA, VICFA. That is Virginia Independent Consumer and Farmers Association. And they have an action alert registration form on their website. I'll put links to both of these organizations in the show notes. Or you can look them up online. Farm to Consumer Legal Defense Organization, VICFA, VICFA, Virginia Independent Consumer and Farmers Association, VICFA. Both are fighting for your right to choose raw milk for your family. So those are the reasons, just some of the reasons that we run into. It's against the law, and we have we want to stay under the radar so we don't advertise a lot. You really have to have word of mouth. And then you have those legal challenges that have actually put some people out of business. So those are some of the things that limit your availability to raw milk products. And again, you've got the organizations that can help you out, VICFA and the Farm to Consumer organization. All right, let's get on to today's recipe, hot buttered rum mix. This is a rich and delicious beverage, and it can be made with or without alcohol, so everyone can enjoy it. This is a large recipe. It makes 52 servings. No problem, though. It's a mix that stores well in the freezer. So you make it up, put it into freezer containers, and then use it a little bit at a time. So what do you need? You need 2 cups of butter softened, 3 3/4 cups of powdered sugar, 2 1/4 cups of dark brown sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 2 quarts of vanilla ice cream softened. So you're going to cream the butter and sugars until smooth, put in the vanilla and the ice cream, right? And that's it. Put it in, fill up your freezer containers, put it in the freezer until it's needed. All you're going to do then is you're going to take 3/4 cup of boiling water. You're going to add a couple tablespoons of rum or brandy and ground cinnamon and nutmeg to taste. You're going to put 1/4 cup of the butter mixture in a 10 or 12 ounce mug. Stir in the boiling water and the rum, and then sprinkle with cinnamon and nutmeg to taste. And there you have it. That's it for today's FarmCast. I hope your plans for the fall season are coming to fruition. It's a lovely time of the year to enjoy life. And I know that for most people it's hard to find raw milk today, but remember, you can help by becoming informed, involved, and invested in the laws in your state. You can make a difference. We have a right to choose the food and nutritional program we think best for ourselves and our families. Stand up and let your voice be heard. Let others know about our herd share program. Also, we'd love to hear from you. What raw milk product piqued your interest? Maybe if there's a demand, we can add it to our list of services provided for our herd share owners. Let me know how you and your family like that buttered rum drink. Try it with our raw milk butter. You'll be glad you did. If you enjoyed this podcast, please hop over to Apple Podcasts, subscribe, give me a 5-star rating and review. The best thing that you can do, though, is share it with any family or friends who might be interested in this type of content. As always, I'm here to help you taste the traditional touch. Thank you so much for stopping by the homestead. And until next time, may God fill your life with grace and peace.